The White House war. The White House war with the media hit a new level yesterday when Deputy Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders had a tirade against reporters, and it was interrupted by a journalist called Brian Karem. Take a look.
If we make the slightest mistake, the slightest word is off, it is just an absolute tirade from a lot of people in this room.
Why in the name of heavens? Any one of us, right, are replaceable, and any one of us, if we don't get it right, the audience has the opportunity to turn the channel or not read us. You have been elected to serve for 4 years at least. There's no option other than that. We're here to ask you questions.
Right.
You're here to provide the answers. And what you just did is inflammatory to people all over the country who look at it and say, see, once again, the president is right and everybody else out here is fake media.
What'd you think?
Well, I just wish that the other reporters would have backed him up. Like, after he said that, they went on to some other topic. Somebody else should have at least seconded the motion, you know?
They have to stick together because, you know, I think what's scary is she's doing what she's being told to do. This is coming directly from the president. This is coming from the White House. And what they're trying to do, I think, is damage the freedom of the press, which is protected by our Constitution, which is protected by the First Amendment. And if you look at the recent polls, a majority, 65% of voters believe there's a lot of fake news in the mainstream media, and the majority says the mainstream media publishes fake news, and 37% trust the White House versus 29% who favor the political media. We need to be very concerned about this, because this is what happens in Russia, this is what happens in China. When you believe the government, state-sponsored news over the people, you're leading, it's a dictatorship.
Where was Spicer? Hiding in the bushes? Where is Spicer?
I don't know.
She also talks in there a little bit about how the sources are off and the media is getting quotes from people that are unnamed and all these things. But meanwhile, the press house briefings that have gone on for years and years and years, they're removing audio, they're removing visual, they're having illustrators draw pictures like a courtroom. You're wondering why things are possibly getting misrepresented when you aren't the source and you don't let them come and hear directly from you. What are you expecting?
I mean, I like her. I think she's very good at her job. Her job is to kind of push back on media, and that's what she's doing. That's what any press secretary
is the agenda of the White House.
Yeah, but and every press secretary does this. We see it through every administration. But I think she is echoing the sentiment of a lot of people across the country who are tired of the media. Look, they can investigate the collusion between the Trump administration and Russia, and I think they should do that, and that's what's happening. But I turn on the TV so many times, and I see that chyron running across various news outlets with no new information. It's just being pushed out there. Investigations with Russia continue. Yeah, we know. Then say, investigations.
We only know because the reporters are telling us that it's going on.
It's made, and there's been a bombshell report coming out of people that went behind the scenes at CNN. I think a lot of it is for ratings, but there's no new information, and there's plenty to cover. You want to criticize Trump's policy, go criticize other stuff and let that investigation unfold. It just looks like it's very crowded.
I think it speaks more to the 24-hour news cycle than it does, because even when it was an airplane wreck or something else, when no new news broke for 5 days straight, all you saw were those types of headlines. So I don't think that speaks as much to the focus, but in that press briefing, she also said this Russian hoax. The part that's misleading about that is we're listening to the White House call it a hoax when there's an active investigation. She then said there's been no evidence. We can't have evidence because it's an open investigation. So I find that it's just misleading when you're the source, you're the White House.
The other thing that keeps happening, and maybe that's what we're not saying, is every other day someone new is named as having a connection to Russia.
That's right.
Yeah. So part of what keeps happening is like, it's like Bobby Lou Smith is connected to Russia, and Boopy 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 is connected to Russia, and everybody and their mama is connected to Russia. So I think, and then there's, you know, the Jared Kushner got paid by these people. So we're seeing a lot more stuff about Russia than we would ever see in any other time. And had this been any other president, I don't think they would have been able to get away with any of this. Actually, with having, as you know, with having the
These ties to Russia.
Not just the ties to Russia, but having the business continue with your name all over. Having family members have their businesses with all these companies, all these countries that we keep saying, well, we don't want to be in business with them, and yet we keep having these very bizarre things. So I think there's
I think that point, can I make a point?
Of course.
To that point, they own all three branches of government right now. They own the House of Representatives, the Senate, the executive branch, right? Now they even own the Supreme Court with Neil Gorsuch over there, probably. And if somebody retires, they'll get another one like him.
The Supreme Court is supposed to be objective,
by the way, he is to the right of Clarence Thomas, this guy.
Neil
okay?
Gorsuch?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
So what I'm saying is the deal is stacked. They have all this, and we have the press.
Yeah.
So the press has to fight him.
The press shouldn't be aligned with a party. I mean, it shouldn't be.
The press is the watchdog of the government and has always been.
It should be the watchdog of every government, though.
And it has been.
I disagree. I strongly disagree on that. But
what do you disagree?
That it's been the watchdog of every government. You think that the press, the mainstream media at large, is as tough, was as tough on the Obama administration as it is on the Trump administration?
Are you kidding?
Mainstream media at large?
Well, let me point something out to you. Actually, there are a lot of folks in this audience that see a little bit differently because we see it from a different perspective. We see it from a different perspective. In that, we watched the mainstream media sit back while he was called un-American, while he was called all kinds of stuff. Yeah, he took a lot of hits. I know you don't. I know you don't see it from that perspective. But when I look, I've never seen any president except this one questioned the way he was questioned. The press, said, yeah, well, no, he is an American, but they didn't get all over. They didn't stand up and say.
Their controversy. They covered everything.
You think that the pitfalls of Obamacare, of the way that law was passed on deceit, that wasn't covered the way.
It was all over the news. Wait, hold up. We'll be right back. We'll be right back.